Hey guys, this is Dr. Mike Meng. Welcome to another edition of Bootstrap MD. This is the podcast for healthcare and physician entrepreneurs. I've heard from many of you, I want to start a business or I want to start a side hustle or be involved in investments, but I just don't have the time. I'm working 50, 60, 70 hours a week as a W-2, barely hanging on. How am I going to have time for these other endeavors? I understand the importance of passive income and building multiple streams of income, but I want to get started, but I just can't seem to find the time. Well, today is your day. We're in luck. We've got a productivity expert who also happens to be a physician. Not only a physician, she works for NASA. Yeah, so I think we're going to get a lot out of it. She is an emergency medicine physician, critical care, and aerospace trained doctor. She works full-time as a flight surgeon at NASA and works part-time in the ICU and the ER. She's also a real estate investor. She is the podcast show host of Productivity MD, where she helps other doctors find more time and help people free up 10 hours a week or more in 1 hour so they can be in their zone of genius. Just incredible individual. I got to meet her a couple times and just amazing. And she found the time to come here today. She's got a little bit of a cold, but she says she's gonna power through it. So I think we'll get through it today. Ann, how are you doing?
Thank you so much, Mike, for the kind words. And I'm doing awesome. I'm so glad to be speaking to the physicians here to share what I've learned throughout the years to get my efficiency 10x, especially after having my first baby. I just felt like I really, really needed to do something if I were to actually, achieve the 5 freedoms that we talk about the most.
And I didn't ask you about this, but I think it's fair to say, you're actually working on your second one right now, currently.
Yes, yeah, I am pregnant currently with a second baby, and I just know that I'm always trying to make things more efficient, and really the end goal is to achieve like the 5 freedoms and to not sacrifice quality time with my kids and my husband, which is why I've always been an efficient person my whole entire life. That's what my friends know me as, but I became like ultra efficient after having a baby, even boosted my productivity, was able to start new ventures because I was forced to do it, I guess, with a newborn.
That's amazing. I think you're just taking on new challenges, as they come up to see how much you can do at one particular time. But I want to talk about your origin story. I'm a bit of a comic book nerd. I love to hear the stories how ordinary individuals become superheroes. You definitely fit in that category. But let's talk first about your medical journey. How did you get into medicine? Were you around other doctors in your family? How did that get started for you?
Yeah, I think, first, Asian families always want you to be a doctor or a lawyer, though, behind that was a strong push or pull, not just from my mom, but, I was born in Taiwan. I moved here when I was 9 years old in 4th grade. It was just my mom and I because they were divorced when I was a baby. So, my mom worked really hard 7 days a week as a waitress at IHOP, at other Chinese restaurants, sometimes working till 2 a.m. because she wanted to take the late night shifts. And she had been robbed after those night shifts, of her tips were all gone. It's probably at that time was like maybe 40, $50, but it was, everything to her at that time. So there was also that push that I cannot fail her. I cannot fail this family because we're all each other has, essentially. Like she's all I have, and I'm all she has. So I cannot fail this. So and I talked to my high school Chinese teacher who spoke to me about medicine. It is the one career where you're really truly helping people every day. I mean, at least your true intention, right? There's logistics. You can talk about medical administrations, the charts and everything, but really overall, you go into work and you've helped somebody every day. And that's what pushed me to succeed. That's what pushed me to have maximal efficiency so that I can succeed and be as productive as possible while making mistakes along the way, of course.
And where did you go to medical school?
So medical school at UT San Antonio, University of Texas San Antonio, residency at University of Florida in emergency medicine. And then I did anesthesia critical care at Barnes Jewish Hospital in St. Louis. Then the aerospace medicine fellowship, which came with a master in public health, and that's at University of Texas in Galveston. And they have very close ties with NASA. And I knew I wanted to work for NASA and go into space medicine since I was 19 years old. So it was always going to go into that route, no matter which specialty I picked anyway. So after that, applied to NASA. And because the residency or the fellowship, the aerospace fellowship was essentially like almost like a 2-year interview. So people get to know you, you do rotations there. And it was awesome that I finally got the position there. I think when I calculated it, it was about 16 or 17 years after, 16 years after I set the goal to be a NASA flight surgeon. And finally I got there, and I've been there for 2 years now.
So this is very intriguing. It's not a common occurrence. We hear of a doctor interested into space. You said at an early age, you were very fascinated by it. What in particular in space really made you interested in choosing this as a career?
I think, most people think overall it's just such a cool thing, such a unique thing. Since I was little, I read encyclopedias. Like people, I think friends and family bought me encyclopedias when I was 5 years old, of just photos of planets, the Earth, etc., space in general. And then moving to Houston when I was in 4th grade exposed me to the Space Center Houston. So I was even more fascinated. And now I think it is just an awesome place it's a good balance from ER and ICU. The stressor is way less. You don't have high cortisol your entire shift. And also it's interdisciplinary in a crazy way with other biomedical engineers, with radiation, with people like working on power, with people working on satellite communications and things like that. And everybody is so dedicated. Everyone pretty much has a PhD and is an expert in their field. And everybody is very detail oriented and resourceful, and just like, everyone is type A basically. and it's like interdisciplinary teamwork on steroids.
As a doctor, I wasn't used to asking for help, especially when it came to subjects outside of medicine. But then I found physiciancoaches.com. In an instant, I found hundreds of experts to help me in all aspects of life. On areas I was afraid to ask: dealing with burnout, starting a side gig, money management, even help with my marriage. And the best part? Nearly all experts are physicians themselves. After reading their profile and a quick chat, I knew I found the right mentor for me. At physiciancoaches.com, help from professional colleagues is just a click away.
And I know we're going to talk about productivity and helping our audience to shave off more hours out of their week, but I want to know a little bit more kind of like your day to day, because it's so fascinating. I don't have a usual guest who, they say it isn't rocket science, but in your case, it truly is. So tell me, like, for example, what are kind of your duties that you do at NASA?
Yeah. And, even amongst like the 30 plus flight surgeons we have, each of our duties can be different depending on what you're assigned to. So I can tell you my current duties. I am the deputy surgeon for one of the astronauts who is currently on the space station right now. And then my colleague is a prime surgeon. Each assigned astronaut going on a mission gets 2 surgeons, a prime and a deputy. So my main job right now, she launched about almost a month and a half ago. So my main job right now is sitting at mission control at Johnson Space Center, working through the meetings, talking to her, doing private medical conferences, ensuring that she is in peak performance. Like, this is why human optimization, I love it as well. And I get to do it in my actual career. Peak performance. She just had a spacewalk actually 2 days ago. So, you staff the spacewalk, you make sure she's ready before and after. And there's just a lot of meetings, different types of meetings that discuss operations throughout that you attend. And also you are coordinating with European surgeons, Japanese surgeons, Russian surgeons, because all of them are on the station right now as well. Some other duties I am also assigned to, it depends on the projects or vehicles you're assigned to. So I'm assigned to, International Space Station, but other people are assigned to Human Landing System, to Gateway, to Orion capsule. So they work on those meetings separately as well. And I work on spaceflight associated neuroocular syndrome. So I am like the CNS lead, central nervous system lead for that on this side. So it's variable. Overall, you just make sure crew is healthy, they can perform well in tip-top shape, peak performance, and you give inputs to other disciplines in the mission control, depending on if there's any health risks or any health inputs. And then you give future vehicles, spaceflight systems, your inputs on the design and how to make sure that the human have what they need in terms of equipment and medications, et cetera, et cetera. So that is and you go to launches and landing if you're assigned, to a crew. But that's a very, very brief summary of what it's like. Lots of meetings.
I love it. And I could probably talk about this or just pick your brain on this for hours. My science nerds, but its brain is tingling. But I want to talk about this because you talked about optimization, which leads into productivity. You said you've always been productive. Your friends tell you you're most productive individual they know. So what led to deciding, I think I'm going to coach others how to be more productive?
It's so funny because when I initially started my coaching, it was like I coach on, peak performance, human fulfillment, which, I want people to be productive and be fulfilled at the same time and not just do busy work. And so it's very broad, because I do functional medicine in a way. Like I love like the concept of food as medicine. I also love weightlifting. So there's that component, but I felt like I needed to niche down, figure out one zone of genius. It's really broad. It's not very clear. So that's exactly what I did. I took the high five test. It gave me the my top five straight. And then I just asked my friends, because sometimes when you are so good at what you do, it becomes natural and you don't think it's any different, actually. Because I can do this and this and this and this and this and this. But when I ask my friends, like, hey, what is the one thing that you would recommend your friend to come talk to me to? Or what is that one quality that you feel like I can share with the world, that I can benefit the world? Or what that you would come ask me all the time, or the first word you think of? And like probably 90%, except for like one person, said efficiency and productivity. So right. Essentially, whatever goal I set, I will get it done. And multiple things at the same time too, and I will get it done.
That's great. That's amazing. That's what led you to NASA and said that's my goal at the age of 19. So our audience are mostly physicians. We do have other healthcare professionals, dentists, nurse practitioners, etc. And I know this is a current population that you're familiar with, obviously. Are there any like traits or qualities of these that you can maybe help pick out? Because the reason why I mentioned it, I remember talking on a physician on a podcast, and this one physician kind of pushed me when I talked about productivity. They said, you know what, we're already high achievers. We need to, we got into medical school and most of us graduated, hopefully, and then we don't need to be more productive. So what do you have to say to someone like that who perhaps dismisses the benefits of being more productive?
Yeah, I would say productivity is not just work productivity. I would say that productivity is being able to achieve your dreams, things that you've always wanted to do as well, not just in the back of your mind, and you being able to take action without sacrificing your other aspects of your life, your other wheels of your life, like your family, your own health, your spouse, if you have kids. And so people can be productive. I've seen many, many, many physicians who are productive at work, and they don't have time to spend with their kids. They don't have time to work out. They feel stressed. They are stressed about the stuff in the house as well. They feel like they're just kind of, they're productive at work, but they're actually just going on a hamster wheel and just kind of reacting to life instead of being proactive in life in all aspects.
Yeah. So, we just had a coaching call last night, and we had a physician who says, I'm working really hard. I'm working in the hospital. I'm doing everything I can. I want to start, a side venture or just be involved in other things. And currently my career doesn't allow me to do it. And it was almost like, she gave up, So how do you first start, addressing that issue with them when they feel like there's, it's impossible. I don't have any time whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very common. People want to do real estate. People want to start like maybe their own practice, or people just really want some time for themselves to work out, but they feel like they're trapped. So I think you will have time. There's always cuts of time. It just needs to be examined and prioritized. But I would say that also regarding the time, you're never stuck. You're always free. You have the freedom to choose where you work, who you work for. You are never stuck. That's a mindset of scarcity, right? Like, this is the only job for me at this hospital, even though I have to take like maybe a toxic atmosphere or a scheduler who doesn't care. It's so funny. Like 2 days ago, I had a coaching client. I asked her, hey, she wants to spend more time with her parents and her kids. And she thinks that she only has 1 weekend a month to schedule out. But she said, I said, what, can you just pick 1 weekend a month? She's an ER physician. 1 weekend a month, January, February, March, right now, and set it with your kids and your parents. So you're good to go. And then so she said, no, I can't, because I have to wait for my schedule to come out, the ER schedule. And I was like, well, can't you just tell your ER that you cannot work this weekend now, and do not schedule you? And it was so amazing that she had never thought about that before, because we have been just so ingrained in our head since medical school days, since residency, since fellowship, that our schedule is our schedule and we have no choice and we just have to take what's given to us. And I see that so common. It wasn't just her, but I've seen it multiple times where I say that and they say, oh, I never thought about to request like a specific day off of the week or a month. And we forget our boundaries, and we forget how valuable we are. And so we forget that there's actually abundance of opportunities out there for those people who feel stuck.
Yeah, it is amazing when we see that. I remember, working with doctors, and this one doctor said, she's a radiologist, said she's been miserable. Well, why are you miserable? He says, the best part of my day is when I get to go home, and the worst part of the day is when I wake up. And I go, and she says, well, then it sounds like you're in a job that's miserable for him. And she said, yes. And I said, well, why are you in that? Well, I have a lifestyle that I need to lead, or I have, it pays very well. And they don't realize is that they do have choices, and they have options, and they're most likely in their business or in their, their medical practice. They're probably the ones making the most revenue for that practice. So, I don't know why, we're unable to raise our hands. Like you said, it is probably ingrained from just pleasing others, but yeah, they do have choices. So when you work with a client, maybe you could talk about, what are some things that you look at, and what are like the next steps you do to find, probably time in their schedule that they can devote to themselves.
Yeah, I think this is, I can quickly summarize the steps. So, when I intake a new client, the first is we create a life vision of where they are and when they're 85, 90 years old, with full vitality and full health and mind capability, what they're doing, what they're contributing to, with their hobbies, what they're learning, who they're spending their time with, where they're traveling to, what businesses do they have, what residual income do they have monthly that's coming in, what businesses have they sold, and just what impact are they having? And then we backtrack to about 5 goals for the year that's going to take them to that vision and start eliminating anything they're doing now that has nothing to do with the life vision. So what's the point of doing it? You're just wasting your time. And then we take a look at the time audit of how they're spending their time, hour or by activity through the week. And then we see which one is in their zone of genius, which one needs to be automated, which one needs to be eliminated and delegated. And then we keep it just depends on each person's level because it's one-on-one and super customized. And then we figure out solutions, we enact it, we come back in 2 weeks, and then we just get things done at a way faster pace when you actually have accountability. So that's a very, very short summary of what we do. And then we talk about a lot about delegation, which is huge because the trait, another common trait is a sense of control and need for control.
Yeah. And the other thing too is what do you see as like productivity wasters? I mean, I can, surmise. I remember like the one doctor was telling me, he's so busy and he has no time for his family and kids. Yet he's telling me all about the shows he binge watched on Netflix and tells all about the storylines and everything like that. Probably not the best use of your time. Social media also is another. Have you noticed, some areas that we need to be aware of that maybe we're spending too much time and not really helpful in our own life?
Yes, yeah, agree. Social media is huge. I know a lot of, physicians I've talked to or people in general, they scroll through, their phone right before bed and have it before bed. They don't have blue blockers on, so they have no melatonin. They don't feel sleepy, but their body's tired. Another thing is not being intentional with their goals of the day and not being intentional to time block those non-negotiables, right? Why do you give your worst self in the afternoon to your kids and family? Why not your best self, like in the morning, to your kids and family? Just so first is time blocking those non-negotiables, which for a lot of people, they say it is their kids and family, but they don't do it. They don't block off time and they schedule meetings and work through that time. And then when they have spare time, which you won't find it if you don't set it, then you don't get time with them. And then number 2 is always set intentionally the night before your top 3 priorities for the next morning, so that the next morning when you're in your golden hour of productivity, you set them in order, rank them 1, 2, 3, the hardest thing, the thing that takes the longest, the thing that you don't want to do, the thing that requires creative and deep work. That's what you do first. Most people do check my email or make a call, make an appointment or something like that. That's something quick. And most people, because they can check it off, but it doesn't move the needle of your 5 goals. And we're doing busy work and not moving the needle.
What is your opinion of productivity apps? I made a statement, and this is probably blasé because I'm a bit of a nerd in terms of product. I say nerd like 3 times, but that's true. In terms of like productivity apps, and people ask me like, what's the best productivity apps? And then what I realize is that, and this is my opinion, so I'd like to hear yours, is I spend too much time being unproductive searching for the perfect productivity app. So I'm curious, what works for one person probably doesn't work for another, but what do you have to say about productivity apps? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I definitely use apps to decrease distraction. And I can tell you, I don't use that many. Not apps, the extensions, actually. Number 1 extension I recommend everybody gets is Gmail extension, a Chrome extension for Gmail. It's called Inbox When Ready. So once you have that extension, when you log into your Gmail, you don't have that fear of getting distracted because you are going to, because it's blank until you press the button show inbox. So that way, when you have important emails to respond to or compose, you just search for that email or you just compose without getting distracted by all the other emails. And then later, when you're ready, when your top 3 priorities are completed, then you go in there and then you press show inbox and then batch check just twice a day. Number 2, in terms of apps, I used to use a Pomodoro timer for like 25 minutes, and 5 minutes. I don't do that anymore. I use brain.fm. It's a special music that essentially you can pick for focus, deep work, creative work, or sleep or relaxation. It has a timer on there. So I do a 60 to 90 minute flow, work session, and I just time it. And when the music stops, it's time for me to get up to go look out to white space. So that's what I use now because I find that I can focus longer than 25 minutes now. I've trained my brain to not get distracted. Other things about tech and app, I actually I don't have any. I know there are apps that restrict like you go into other websites and there's other extensions that do that. I guess I've trained myself enough to not have to do that, but I can imagine that can be helpful. And then the one thing is phone setup. For those of you guys, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on video, or I could send a screenshot, but my phone is always black and white. And I could have a shortcut set. If you just Google how to set your phone on grayscale, I can turn it to color just with 3 clicks on the side button when I need to look at photos and video. So basically, it's a dopamine desensitization. You want to progressively desensitize your brain to any dopamine. So the colors are gone. You're not distracted. I have no badges, no notifications, nothing on lock screen, nothing that swipes down on my phone. And everything, all of my messages and email are on the second screen, not the first screen. And everything is grouped into something called inbox. And I batch check it twice a day. So I would say it is actually it's training your mind and training to discipline your internal distraction. That's probably going to get you the most productive. But the technology will help you there.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I'm looking at my phone, and my problem is I got a zillion apps and I have to go through like 10 different pages, even to like make a phone call. That's how bad I am unproductive on my phone. So, and then the inbox extension, I gotta try that too, because I do, as soon as I hit Gmail, I live in fear, that I'm going to get sucked into something.
It's like a test. It's a test every time, right? It's like, oh my God, am I going to fail when I log in, or am I going to pass? Right. Yeah. So just take it away. And just don't even seriously, when you log in, you're going to have like relief. You're not going to always have that anxiety because it's just blink.
Yeah, well, I know you're productive, but I want to respect your time, obviously, to the productivity expert. For someone who is having, feel that they're not productive, you are a coach. Maybe you can talk about, how does a productivity coach, how can they help you? I mean, intuitively we understand it, but for someone who reaches out to you, what can they experience? And maybe you can share like a success story for someone who's worked with you.
Yeah. I would say what you can expect. Well, we talked about the life vision, discovering your 5 strengths, your time audit, and then how to automate, eliminate, delegate, and have action plans. So I would say, as an example, before it was very unclear. Like I have, some clients who are very unclear, have like 10 goals on their list, and they want to do this and this and jump multiple steps and do this and do this. But the most immediate goal and the next action step is actually not there. And it's not specific. Oftentimes it's not very specific. Like, I want to invest in real estate. Okay, by when, how many units, how much do you have? Do you know your finances, et cetera? Or I want to start a coaching business, though. Okay, who's your avatar? Like how niche, or like, why do you want to teach on that subject? Where do you want to take this in 5-10 years? So essentially coaching can get you to be ultra specific and get you the next action step within 2 weeks. We follow up, make sure you completed it. So we have quarterly goals that we meet. And oftentimes my clients find that one of my clients, she had her 5 goals, but within like 3-4 months, she already achieved 3 of them. So she needed a new goal. So she had 5 goals for the year, but within 3-4 months, she hit like 3 of them already. So essentially what coaching does is give you your time back and quicken up the pace to your dreams and your goals. And we also not just talk about optimization, but also what you're eating, your workouts, your mindset, everything that's it's all, it's an entire spectrum. It's not just systems and knowledge, but it's an entire spectrum of your mind, body, and technique to kind of get you there. That's why I say it's peak performance, human optimization, and productivity all at the same time.
That's awesome. And if you happen to be an astronaut and want to be on the ISS, you're probably the person we need to talk to. If that is your goal, who knows? You never know who you might listening. And this has been great. I know we're going to have some resources in the show notes, but if somebody wanted to reach out to you, possibly learn about your coaching, what's the best place to go?
Yeah, I would say they can go to productivitymd.com. If you're interested in learning more what the coaching is like, you can book a 30-minute complimentary discovery call with me. And I have some resources I can share with you guys because I talk about, automating, delegating, eliminating a lot, and especially delegating. Like I have some resources on how to create, somebody create slideshows for you, the person I use, resources of where I found my virtual assistant or virtual professional, and what kind of example tasks have I had them do for me, so you can kind of get inspirations. And I will have resources of the house manager that I have and all of their roles and responsibilities. So just reach out to me. You can book a call with me, and that I can share those resources with you so that you can just take that away and actually start enacting some of those.
Oh, and okay, this is tremendous. We'll need to get you back on the show. You can go to productivitymd.com to reach out. We'll share again the resources here in the show notes. Thanks again for joining us. Any last minute thought before we end the call today?
And actually, I've wanted to mention as well. So currently the podcast has a lot of free knowledge. It's right now called It's Not Rocket Science Show, but it's transitioning to Productivity MD very soon. So you can search for both depending on the timing when you listen to it, it'll pop up. Show notes are on productivitymd.com, and you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn at Ann Tsung, TSUNG MD. Just MD. And really for the clients right now, for your audience right now, I just want to say that inaction leads to dreams killed. So what I'm saying is that, no matter, just don't listen to this podcast and that's it and be done with it. Just absorb the knowledge without action. I would urge you to, no matter what, either download Inbox when ready, or maybe do a time audit, or, what is the non-negotiable time block? You're definitely going to spend time with your wife and kids, or, your husband, or when's the next date now you're going to plan. Do something, because then finally you will actually be able to get to your life vision, get to your dreams. And don't ever settle just because you feel like you're stuck. Don't ever settle, feel like you have no choices because of the lifestyle, because you can have an even better lifestyle doing something you love.
Again, love it. This has been an action-packed, power-packed episode. Appreciate all of the resources. Thank you again, Ann, for joining us on the podcast today, and thank you, the listener, for joining us today. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of those resources. Check those out. Check out the Inbox extension, the focus, all that stuff. That's great stuff. And as always, you've got lots of different goals, maybe too many goals. If you can just pick one thing that empowers you, makes a difference in your life, do one simple thing every day to get you closer to your goals and keep moving forward.